It goes beyond just your family, your
Yeah.
immediate family. It could be, you were talking about athletes earlier. It could be your coach. It could be a
Mm-hmm.
professor. It could be um the guy that you see walking out the hallway every time you go to Starbucks. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
just it doesn't have to be somebody that you're related to,
Right.
um, by blood or by any other means. Uh,
I mean, let's put things into perspective now. I mean, we're not blood, we're not related. And there's ways that you help me, and there's ways I'm sure that I help you. I hope at least.
Look, hell of an intro. I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th floor across from residentials that I own. My mind stayed grown, I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those, and then I switched it up, I'm only thinking potential.
What's up, everyone? It's Ronnie Polonius and Francis Fan, and welcome to the realest show on the planet of Earth, where we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. You're going to essentially hear it all. So, if you're ever looking for some sort of motivation, inspiration, or guidance, you're in the right place. We make it our mission to make sure we can give you a place where you can consistently walk and grow.
what's good, man?
That's good, man. I'm all right. I'm all right. For those listening, you're probably like, man, Ronnie, you got to change your voice. I promise you, something got me. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm all right. I'm good. I'm living. And we're here with another one. This show does not stop. We continue to do what we're here to do, which is
Yep.
give you guys the good old life of self-improvement, self-development. As Francis and I, we live in this world of constantly trying to improve ourselves, not on ourselves, but obviously the people around us, our good group of friends that we always speak to. So we're just gonna go ahead and share a little bit something about how life is.
Right. How's everything going?
Everything's good, man. Besides just whatever this is trying to take me off my path. Everything is good. How about yourself?
Very much so. Today was a great day. Everything has been going on well according to plan. It's been the last 2 weeks have been eye opening and really allow me to get some clarity on a lot of things. So it's like I'm feeling good about things. Feeling very, very good about things. Just because I don't know. I'm sure I've already mentioned this either to you or on the podcast, but there were some dark days this year.
Mm-hmm.
Some very, very, very dark days.
We all
Uh,
have them.
yeah. So upon after the series of events that happened, you know, I got the answers. I got the answers that I was looking for in regard to the situations that I was
Mm.
dealing with. So and that's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all is well. Things are progressing. The work never stopped, man. The work
Nah,
never.
for real, for real. You just gotta figure out how to adapt and adjust. I mean,
Yeah.
come on now. That's the life. I mean, even if you're experiencing those dark days, because I've experienced them myself this year, but I've been able to navigate through it with one decision, literally. That's all it takes. You're one decision away from making sure that sky is clear again, so that you can continue to navigate through the world, this journey we call of life.
Right.
But I mean, it's part of the journey. I mean, nothing's ever gonna be perfect. When the sun shines, it's all great, but when it doesn't, you gotta just figure out how to maneuver through it.
I would like some of our listeners to actually tell us how they're doing. Send us an email or a message on Instagram, anything. Just let us know how you're doing, how podcast is helping you. You don't have to go and leave a review. Just
Oh, bro,
you
come on,
know,
don't do that. Don't do that.
I know you're the review guy. I'm just like help us get to know you. You hear me? So, and that's really up to you. You don't have to. It's not an obligation. I got a feedback at some point it was weird. I got a feedback at some point this past week. I was having a wonderful dinner with somebody, and this person mentioned um something interesting, and I want to get your feedback on this. Do you feel as though
We're gonna do that live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you feel as though sometime I come off as arrogant on the call? I'm addressing this because I know for a fact I don't. And I want that person who brought it up to hear it as well. And just kind of clear the air. If you really get to know me, you will know like I am far from that. This is just like, just get to know somebody and you understand that, yo, I do not have that. And maybe once upon a time, right? But people change, and I've did a lot of work to kind of put that behind.
So what's the question again? Sorry.
Do you think as I come off as arrogant on some of our podcast episode, like the previous episodes that we've done?
I personally don't think
No,
so. And
no filter, no filter. Don't try to bullshit. This is just
no. I don't think I think you have your own opinion, which is great. You have your own viewpoints, you have your own perspective, which is what allows us to have these conversations and these discussions and enable us. I think the person may see it as you had somebody say this to you before, but maybe the person's saying this because sometimes you may cut me off or you just speak over me. And I think that's probably why the person may have said that. But in all reality, that's just you. Not to say it's anything. It doesn't, I don't look at it any sort of way because I still get to finish my point of thought. But the person may look at it like, hey, man, I actually wanted to listen to what Ronnie had to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, you kind of just interrupted. But in all reality, no. I think you being opinionated, you having your own perspective. I think everybody should have their own perspective, but obviously be respectful for what the other person has to say.
Right.
But in terms of being arrogant and just having your own importance and your abilities, I promise you, whatever that man says does not affect me at all. So whoever it was that said that, that's his own perspective, and we're all here to grow, right? So there's something I can learn from you, there's something I can learn from somebody else. And that's just the way that I at least navigate. So I personally cannot say or look at it as a way of you being arrogant.
Right.
It's just your perspective, and you're just implementing and you're speaking on what you believe in, which is great. I guess maybe just I don't know exactly where the person is coming from, but
I think so. I'm gonna run you through the play. The conversation was basically we're talking about some deep stuff, and the person said, you should probably talk about this on your podcast because it shows who you are. Sometimes you come off as arrogant. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I thought about it for a second, and we briefly talked about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring it up on the podcast and kind of hear what you have to say about it without texting you about it, basically. But yeah, thank you for your feedback. Not to, drift away from today's topic. I just wanted that out the way so that any new listener or just anybody who has been following for quite some time to not feel as though like I know it all. Nah.
I mean, I'm sure we said it previously before. Like we're all here to learn. So, but in the end of the day, I mean, let's be honest, I agree with everything you say and you agree with everything I said, there's no conversation. I mean, at that point, I know we're gonna bore you guys. So somebody has to have some sort of different perspective. And I think, for instance, now we agree on a lot, but there's some things I just don't agree with him on, and there's some things he won't agree with me on, and that's perfectly fine. It's for this podcast is truly indeed to help you. I shouldn't say podcast. The show is to help you build your own perspective and challenge everyone, because there is not, and this is what I live by. I challenge everything and everyone around me, and everyone that knows me, they just know that's just Ronnie. It's not me just trying to doubt or me trying to diminish your idea or anything of that nature. It's just no, I want us to dive deep into the idea or your thought process, your thinking of it, so I can understand it for myself. And maybe it's going to help me, navigate through something else, maybe now, maybe later in life. But challenge everything, guys. And whoever brought it up and said, you sound arrogant, that was that person challenging you, which which is good. Yeah, it's a good thing, because sometimes we all need to be aware of, how we're coming off or how our perception is and how other people perceives us, because sometimes some images we're not trying to paint and we do it anyways.
I see it as a reminder to live in the moment. Like when you ask me a question, it's like basically checking where I'm at with, with myself in regard to that. So Yeah, I had no problem with it. We talked about it. But to get into the, unless you had anything to add to that.
No, you killed my reviews, so I'm
Oh,
good.
dang, 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 dang. So
Yeah.
what's next?
And we
What's
could roll
next?
right into the episode. I mean, we dragged you guys along in that one because he had to get something off his mind, but we got that.
I did, man. I did. Because it's been, I was thinking about it for quite some time. But anyway.
And if anybody has a certain, because I haven't had feedback like that, so if anybody has something to say to me, please speak up. I would love to hear it. You know how to reach us: Instagram, email, whatever. I mean, you could probably find my number online somewhere if you do enough research. So just go ahead, get in touch with us, or at least with me, whoever it is that you're trying to speak to. We might have to switch some things up in terms of our format, so definitely look out for that. But I guess we could go ahead and roll right into it, man.
Yeah, so today adventure will be, well, it's not even an adventure. It's something that we really, really need to talk about, and I want you to embrace yourself. Check your phone. I just text you something.
Mm-hmm.
Go open that article and you read me the title.
Okay. NC State report: fourth student suicide of semester. Bro, why are we reading this right now?
Mm, mm. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you're seeing it, when you're hearing something, when you read something like that?
Somebody was struggling.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, but honestly, this doesn't surprise me because we all experienced it, or at least I can't say all. I experienced it when I was in college, and I'm not gonna say the name. But if you do enough research, you'll know what college I went to. But I've seen this episode before. In fact, sometimes it wasn't even on the news. So I'll even point that out.
Right. So I was just reading through it today and I'm like, what is happening right now? Because if you pay attention, this is not just that, yes, this is this school, two in the span of a week, right? I want to kind of center about self-care in regard to the situation that are happening in this world. That's where I'm taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if there was enough self-care, some of these things would be avoided. I'm sure there's a lot of variable at play. We don't really know the full story.
Right.
But I think the only thing you can control in a story like that is how you take care of yourself. So your fellow students, the college student that you see on a day-to-day, or those that you may have, come across on your journey, do you feel as though do you take time to check on them? Like, just, make sure everything is straight, just have conversation that are beyond just the hi and how are you?
Mm-hmm.
Because things like that, if you have a good support system, it should be, really, you shouldn't have to go through that.
Yeah.
Are you following where I'm going with this?
Yeah, no, I get it. And I mean, I don't really know too many college students now. I did my years and I left, so I don't know too many people that are in college.
Took your diploma and you left.
I only know of one person. Shout outs to BC. He actually is the one individual that I know that's in college, and he's the only individual I really keep in touch with and make sure he's okay. See if there's anything I could do to help. And he's probably going through it a lot because he's actually on the football team. So he's going through that day to day of training and just going through the waking up and just having to go to class and the whole nine of being a college athlete. So that's probably the only person that I do check in on, and when I do check in on him, it's how not even how's football going, but just, hey, do you need my help with anything? If there's anything I can help him out, because he helps me out as well. So it's we give and take kind of thing, kind of a relationship. But I mean, other than him, I don't really have anybody else that I do speak out or reach out to, because I don't know many college students at the moment.
Gotcha. All right. So I see what you're saying, but as you were once a college student yourself,
right?
And you like you said, you experienced some of this. So if we kind of turn the page and not dwell so much on why this is happening and kind of start thinking about how can we, start moving towards change when it comes to, things of this nature.
But
What are some of the things that come up to mind?
this thing goes so far and so deep. I don't know if there's one solution that's going to ever fix this. The only suggestion I could make is definitely have the resources available to every person and allow those resources to be known. Because I don't know if, these individuals who are having a tough time, do they actually know? So allow it to be known, not just on a piece of paper and a news article that you're going to put online or, in their daily campus thing, whatever that is called, but something that is physically in front of them. And, maybe even having people, having their friends speak out more than often, because I think that's really one source to identify this. Of course, you can't pin it on any organization, anything that the school has, because again, if it's there readily available, but they don't speak up, how would anybody ever really know? But I think the first thing would be to make sure that everybody knows that sort of resource is even there for them. And then after that, it's the person's ability to really speak up on it. I mean, if the person doesn't speak up, this honestly, I don't see much change.
Gotcha. Now, you're talking about making sure you have the resource around you. When you're talking about resources today, Ron, that gave you the key. Yo, you're the principal of so and so college or whatever, the dean. What resources are you making available? In regard to that?
I am not a doctor, so I don't know what resources are going to help somebody in the situation. But I think I would assume a therapist.
What would help you? Let's reverse that. What will help you when if you were
a support system, somebody that I can reach out to,
Okay.
call to if I needed some sort of help or I needed someone to speak to. That's really it. And I mean, I don't know what those professions are, and if you know, please let me know. I'll be more than welcome to learning a little bit more about what I should know. But a support system, I think that's the best thing, and that's the only thing that one really needs when navigating through life, whether it's by themselves or with a group of people.
I agree. And that's one thing that I was thinking about as well in regard to, it goes beyond just your family, your immediate family. It could be, you were talking about athletes earlier, it could be your coach, it could be a professor, it could be the guy that you see walking out the hallway every time you go to Starbucks. Like just it doesn't have to be somebody that you're related to,
Right.
by blood or by any other means.
I mean, let's put things into perspective now. I mean, we're not blood, we're not related. And there's ways that you help me, and there's ways I'm sure that I help you. I hope, at least. If somebody's not really helping you, if someone isn't really helping you, then I think it's time to reevaluate that relationship, because it seems as if whoever isn't the one that's really helping, that's not a giver, that's someone that's taking. And not to say you always have to be in that position where you're taking, but at some point in time, you got to give, because somebody out there is going to need the help, and it may not be the person right then at that moment, but maybe somebody that they know needs help. And can you provide that helping hand? And whatever that help desires, or whatever is in need at that moment, and if you're in position to do so, and just, I wouldn't say just do it, but just make an effort to do it. I would say. What do you think is that one resource that many people need, in reference to the college article, that the college students in the article that you just made me look at?
My answer will be very controversial, so I will just tell you, look at the research that
He's gonna save his ass and tell me offline, guys.
No, I won't tell you offline, but those who will understand what I'm about to say knows the power of the research that is being done behind this. Look at the research that is being done at Johns Hopkins. There's a specific research in particular in regard to mental health. Look into it and see for yourself how different it is from the current resources that we have, in terms of really allowing somebody to overcome the burden of life, because that's really what it is. We have a pile of stuff, and if you don't know how to structure them and put them correctly, it gets messy. I think of a house, or even a company. Imagine the company, for those who work for a company. Imagine working for a company and you know, everything is messy. Nothing is really going to get done, right? So,
Mm.
or even your house is, if everything is messy, you're never going to have guests over. So it's really a matter of how do we make sure that wheel is structured well and going according to plan. And in terms of the resource, that will be one of them. But the very fundamental resource you can have is the people around you,
Mm.
right? That support system. That support system. You're not gonna tackle this. You're not gonna tackle this life by yourself. Put yourself out there and go, into communities that align with your values. Look at your core values and find people that align with your core values and go from there. You don't necessarily have to confine yourself to people just because you feel lonely, to certain people just because you feel lonely. Have the balance, have the discipline, self-discipline to say no to certain environment, to certain, things that are not good for you. Because that's how you grow. And you will realize after a certain time that it's even better for yourself than you think. We think of ourselves as like, if you think of yourself as a vessel, and you're cleaning yourself, and you're just going to shine brighter for others. I don't know if you get that, but yeah. Anyway, I can go on and on, but the point is, support system is a fundamental resource that needs to be around, and it has to be genuine. It has to be based on a trustworthy relationship, because it's hard for somebody who's dealing with something to open up to somebody that they don't even know if they can trust, you
Right.
know. So if you are genuine and you're not, putting up a blind, or putting up a facade just to blend in, you're literally just being yourself. You will see that also kind of reciprocate from the individual. With the energy that you put out is what you're gonna get back. Think of it that way. So it's like, just be genuine with people.
So for the person that has, again, the support system, because I think sometimes, this happens in those situations where the support system's there. It's just, I guess
Mm.
you didn't know enough, or the person didn't know enough. I mean, how does, there's not much left to do for someone. I mean, I don't know, at least. So in those situations, like,
If the support system is there and you're not, that you're still reluctant to kind of open up about some of those deep wounds with somebody, then you need to reevaluate whether or not you actually want to do well for yourself,
mm,
or just live in this bubble of misery. And that's really that's a choice. The same way showing love to somebody is a choice brought to life through action, it's the same way taking care of yourself is a choice brought to life through realization of who you are, and start doing the work. Nobody's gonna come and do it for you.
you're right. I question for you. Have you had any sort of experience before when someone tried to off themselves and you knew that person?
Most stuff, no, the 2 or 3 cases that I've had were just after the fact. So they overcame that
Mm,
fear, or that desire to kind of, yeah. But
mhm.
not when somebody's going through the motion. You get me?
Yeah, gotcha. So I could say the same. I've had one where it wasn't in the motion of it, it was after, but it wasn't long after. It was very recent. If anything, this was fresh. So I ask that just because I think it's important for individuals to know that, we have people, again, that we constantly talk to and we support, that still through their own life and their own, things that they're trying to work through, their own wounds, as Francis like to say, we still experience it ourselves. And as much as we're trying to mitigate, making sure that anyone doesn't have to experience that, some way, somehow, you're, not to say you're going to, but we all experience it. And just how could we make it, I guess the question is really, what could we do better so that less people experience it?
Conversation, man. You're really connecting with people. Have you like? It's hard. It's hard to put it in term of like, of the science that is behind the whole, mental health structure, because that's one part of it. We all deal with stuff. life is hard. We all deal with stuff. But on a day-to-day base, there's the small things, like small good decision that we can take that will allow us to transcend towards, becoming better. We know it's not gonna happen overnight, but it can be done. It can
Mm.
be done. I don't know what the answer is. I just know it can be done.
That's someone's way of escaping, though, what you just mentioned. So obviously, you just mentioned someone wanting that kind of that other side of the calm, the peace of it all. I think that's what allows a lot of individuals to just resort to that and just say, you know what, that's how I'm gonna get that peace.
I get that. I get that. It's a way to escape. Is there no other way to escape?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I don't know. That's the
Oh
question.
man, oh man,
That's
oh
the
man.
question of the decade or the century, I should say.
Wow. That's a good kind of place to reflect and kind of see, okay, what's next if that's not the way, right? Or what
Mm.
could be the way?
We could be here all night
And I
trying to
know a lot.
brainstorm and strategize.
I know a lot of people are gonna have their logic. Go to church, find a group, go to nonprofit, volunteer, exercise, go to the gym, all these things. When you do yoga, yes, that's all cool that you could do. Those are resources are available, but you still got to release that energy that's been bubbling in your mind for probably since birth, because that's really when I think most of the rupture is done, since the childhood, I should say, really.
Mm-hmm.
You start to experience, you know, good from bad, no to yes, restriction to freedom. Once you start seeing that, that's really where you're, you start building your story. Now, some of that could be good, some of that could be bad. But if you don't address the bad, you're gonna keep on piling bad on top of bad until you can't, pile anymore. And that's when you're looking for the escape. Am I wrong? At least in the case of a college experience like the one we're talking about. I know there's million cases. But I just want to have a conversation. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is right. I just want to have a conversation to kind of see, okay, if that's the escape route, and we know that it's mostly a pile of things that happen to us, is there another way to escape?
So I want to paint this other picture for you, and I think this one person, and of
Yes,
course,
please
this
do.
person
Please do.
is this person is currently going through it. So I wouldn't say that the person has escaped it, but I don't know if you've been following Kyrie a lot, but what
No.
he is
Nope.
what he is going through right now is very much so not the same, I would say, but in some ways it has similarities because he's not really he's getting restricted and he's trying to escape the restriction without compromising his freedom at the same time. And so how does one like that escape? I mean, at that point in time, the one thing that I've seen him do recently is he's coughing up the one thing that he loves to do, which is now, I guess, enabling him to get that peace. Now, I don't know if he's feeling any sort of peace. I'm assuming. This is all assumptions here. Now, I haven't had a conversation with him, so I can't guarantee. I can't tell you guys these are facts. This is just kind of what I see happening and kind of my interpretation of it all. So for that one person that is experiencing, and just trying to escape, I think this is a time for that individual to really look at, hey, what's important to you? Because I think sometimes we do things and we fail to realize, hey, the things we are doing is not who we are. It's not what we want to do. So now I think that's a great opportunity to realize, all right, now you got to live life for, who you are, what you believe in. So look into yourself, look at yourself in the mirror and just realize and understand, like, all right, is this something that you want to do? Maybe it's not. So just remove yourself and understand that if there is consequences, you're okay with living with them, because everything comes with a consequence, but it's just, how bad do you want it, or how bad do you actually want to deal with it? And so I say all this to say, really, if you are a person looking to escape, my suggestion, something that I would do is just remove whatever it is that's giving me that wound, that's allowing that wound to be deeper and hurting me to the point where it's uncontrolling. Now, if it's something that you can't control, I mean, I at that point we got to do a little bit more talking. But for something that you can control, it's definitely, removing that out the situation, I think is definitely a start.
Yeah, I think that's a great advice.
That's not
Um,
advice. It's just something. It was something that I would do in reference to what I've seen Kyrie do. There's one thing that obviously that's his bread, that's his butter, that's what brings him joy to his family, himself.
each other.
So to see him remove the one thing that he loves to do for something that he believes is bigger than himself and what he loves to do, I mean, that right there, you can't explain what that really means to one. He probably is hurting. We won't really know unless you had a conversation with him.
Right. I wouldn't say he's hurting because it could be, it may look that way from the outside looking in, right? But it could just be his own self transformation. He could be
Mhm.
going through something that has shifted his priorities,
Mhm.
right? And for us, it's just like, yo, we knew you this way. What's going on over here? So it's hard really without being in his shoes to say he's going through it. Unless you have like facts it's like, yo, this guy's like, yeah, nah, he just walked in through a store and started doing things. I don't know what's going on over there. To be honest with you, I don't know what's going on around for
Mm.
quite some time. So I'm just trying to, kind of say if the guy is going through that and just putting things away, there's always a motive behind what we do.
Right.
Let's just put it that way. There's always a motive behind what we do, good or bad. And to some people, it might make sense. To some people, it might not. But if you care deeply about the individual, you will take the time to get to know, hey, man, hey, what's going on? Do we need to address it? Right.
So that I can't agree with you completely on that, man. I really don't, because I'm a very
Well, no, you don't
self-sheltered person.
you don't have to address. You're not gonna address it with the person, but you're just basically, checking on the person. You're not saying, hey, yo, do this and this and this and this. Nah. You just say, I noticed this, boom. And it's up to that person to take it or leave it. You've said what you've noticed. You've done your part.
Yeah.
But if you just sit there and just part of the audience, it's like you're part of the problem, you know?
Mm.
So that's also a message to those, and that's a message that I want everyone to hear, even those who are grieving right now, for those that you lost. Just think of the people that you have around you right now. What can you do as a person to just make sure that you've done your part? Not that you've solved the problem or that you've addressed whatever they may be going through, but you have done your part and have that peace that, hey, I checked on this person. I whatever it is, whatever it could be. Because if we all start this domino effect of doing it, that's a huge step towards like the whole resource thing we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Do you feel I'm not saying like, go, hey, yo, hey, you need to fix this. No. Somebody who care about somebody else, like if you see, for example, your brother change his way of doing certain things. Yes, you may be uncomfortable about it, but that's not your calling to fix that issue for them. Even if to your eyes it could be an issue, to you it could be an issue, to them it could be something that they must go through, right?
Yeah.
But just bringing their awareness to that is already your part. You've done something that will then allow the person to look and say, well, should allow the person to say, do I want to move forward with this, or do I want to change it? But that's a self-realization that a person will come up to,
Yeah.
on their own.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong in any sort of way. I think as long as individuals are playing their role, doing their part, there's so much more that someone else can really do for somebody. At the end of the day, it's up to that person that's making that decision on what they decide that they're going to do. And no one else could really control that. All we can help is mitigate and give everybody that ability to understand the consequences of the circumstances that one made, one action that could lead to, whatever else it could lead to. So I don't think you're wrong in any sort of way. I think if we're all playing our roles and we're all playing our part, then yeah, I think it could mitigate it. But I don't think personally, I don't think it could. I don't think that's gonna actually solve it. Simply because that person just doesn't have to say anything to anybody, and you can have those people checking in on that person, and that person just decides to, hey, yeah, everything's all right, and keep it pushing. So
Mhm.
it solves it up to a certain extent, because at the end of the day, the person has to be willing to open up and share whatever it is that is hurting them.
Yeah, I get that, but my question is more towards, are we playing our parts to, you know,
I mean, let's be
bring these things
honest,
out
man.
to their conscious?
Look at
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
in our
yeah.
phones.
I know. Mm.
Like, no, there's no way, no way that what's going on in this world is actually helping anyone. Oh my gosh. I mean, we could really talk about it, but I don't want to get, I don't want nobody come knocking at my doorstep trying to mess up
Dep-
their lifestyle. So,
It depends on how you look at it. Depends on how you look at it.
bro, the things that are in our phones, that's problem number one. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not naming what it is. If you guys know, if you guys listened to earlier previous podcasts, you know exactly what I am talking about, because we've talked about this before.
I disagree.
Please do. Let's hear
I
it.
I disagree because, and I've had this conversation for quite some time, like recently too. Your phone, your bed, whatever, all these things, anything that you own, you use it the way you want to use it because of how you want to use it, based off of, you know, the way you want to use it, your mind, right? So if it's all based off of your mind, you have the ability to balance the way you use these things, right? Yes, the phone could be, whatever they're sending you could be of no value, no value to you, or you shouldn't even like dive deep into it. The phone is not the problem. I get what you're saying. I totally understand what you're saying in terms of like the effect that it has on society in general. But I think the problem is deeper. The problem is like just how our habits have changed,
Mhm.
how habits have changed from generation to generation to generation. We're no longer hunting. We go to Publix and Whole Food, and you get me? So you go to Target to get clothes. You don't have to cut a tree and some leaves and whatnot. So it's like things have changed, but it's how you look at that map of how things are changing and where you are in regard to that change, and see which direction you want to go. That's the power of not letting these things control you.
So you said a few really, really strong words, and one, I would definitely agree. Generations change. It's not what was 2, 3, 500 years ago. So it's definitely changed on that aspect, and I think it's going to continue to change. So there's 3 words that you said that really, I think, allow everyone, and this is where the problem really, I think, begins: balance, mind, and control. All 3 of those things, I think individuals that are using their phones for the most part don't have any understanding of all 3 of those: balance, mind, and control. And because of those full understanding of it, I think that's what allows for everything to go in an uproar. At what point in time do you believe a kid or anybody fully understands themselves and doesn't give a flying F what anybody else cares or says about them? At what age?
Again, I don't think there's an age. I, I strongly think I don't think there's an age because, bro, our minds are wired differently. All of us.
Mhm.
The way the way you process things is different than the way I do. Right. So if we have to use the age as the scale of measurement, it does us no good.
Okay. Okay,
I
then
think I
that's
think
perfectly fine. Then
go ahead.
I'll go ahead and rebuttal it. Do you think anyone that's in elementary well, let's go in middle school. Let's be generous here. Do you believe anyone in middle school cares a lot about what other people think about them?
Based on the research that have been proven, I will say no.
Okay.
I will say no, because at that stage you're still learning to figure out who you are really,
Right.
you know.
So if you're learning,
So it's a tough transition there. That age group, it's a tough transition in my eyes. Um, but no, I don't think that the individual is probably focused at that point to kind of discover the world, and not so caught up on, do you like me, do you not, right? I think it's after that, the
really?
stage after that.
Oh man, bro, what world did you grow in?
I could be wrong. I
Nah.
could be wrong. Give me an example. Give me an example.
When we're all in middle school, man, all we cared about the girl looking at us across the room and hoping that she likes us.
Oh, that's what you're talking
No,
about.
no,
Oh
no,
my
no.
God.
That's not what I'm talking about, but I'm using that as a reference as to that symbolizes everything in our phones as well. Those two things go hand in hand
I'm not sure I'm following.
in terms of being likable, wanting people to look at you a certain way, wanting to fit in, all of those things. They all
So
correlate
you think
to
those are the same issue that carry over,
oh,
and it plays into the control mind and
yep.
balance?
Absolutely, because at a young age, you're still discovering. You're still trying to find
I
everything. You're
see.
still trying to understand who the heck you are. That's why I asked at
I
what
see.
age, because if I'm not mistaken, everything in our phone, they tell us up until the age of 13, you could really, you're on your own. You could do whatever the heck you want. No 13-year-old in their right mind. I know I wasn't in my right mind at 13 years old. I'll tell you that. And I had guidance in my life too, right? And I could vividly tell you very clearly, like, oh no, I was a wild boy. All right. So that in itself, if you're telling me at the age of 13, 14, that yeah, you have all these tools and you can use it. And I mean, let's be honest, most kids have cell phones earlier than that age anyway. So they're getting it earlier to do whatever it is. So it's like those things are impacting them all the time. And now you grow up in that. Oh my gosh. I could only imagine what that does to one.
Mm, mm. I see. I would love to have like a massive table conversation on this.
I mean, we can. I mean, but
It's
it's a sticky one because again,
just to because I feel like me and you, there's just so much we can put on the table. Yeah. So having other perspective will kind of like expand our knowledge too. And
yeah,
I'm eager to know. I mean, if you care, once we post on Instagram, go out there and comment on the post and just let us know how you feel about this. Um, because if we can kind of like start to draw down these little steps that can help us, avoid such drastic events, it could be, it could be of added value to our society in general, and the people that we care about. For personal example, when I was dealing through those dark days and storming, not to the extent of kind of like, oh, I'm gonna off myself today, but to the extent where you're like, you question what is life, right? Because
mm-hmm,
that's ultimately what the question is.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then and then and then to me, well, just to make it short, to me, what helped me tremendously is strengthening my relationship with God. It has really been a blessing. And it's one of those things where not seeing God the way other people do, but the way I want to build that relationship through his words, right? And diving deep into his words allow me to then kind of reevaluate a lot of things about myself, about me, about just, life in general. And it's a map. It's a map. His words is a map to how to navigate life. And that's what helped me.
Mm.
No, I'm not saying go to mall, wake up and go to Barnes and Noble, get yourself, a Bible or not. I'm just saying, look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, what changes do I want to make?
Yeah.
And what are those things that can help me get to that step, at peace? And to me, that was God. So
Gotcha. So I'll go ahead and
Here I
speak
am.
on that in terms of on my end. And for those that are actually they want to take that route Francis took, and you don't want to go to bars and Noble, or you don't have the means or the funds to do it. There's an app on your phone that you can download, free 99. So that's one way. However, my way was, and we spoke about this already, and this is what helps me through my dark days is, like you mentioned, the support system, the people around you. I have a significant other who helps me through a lot. And we go back and forth through a lot. That's literally like my best friend kind of thing. And not only her, but I have other individuals who, if I have to go to and seek for advice on some things, then I know those individuals who are professionals in their field that can help me guide myself. So it's that support system, as Francis mentioned, it's extremely important. But I'll go ahead and let you finish off what you're going to say there. And in terms of, it starts with looking at yourself in the mirror and realizing what changes that you want to go ahead and make.
Yeah, it's really there. And you look at yourself in the mirror in context of not what the word around you is, but it's really you yourself and who you want to be and where you're trying to get, despite how messed up life could be, because we know it's going to get messed up. It was never bound to be easy. It was never bound to be easy. That's why you're not supposed to navigate through it by yourself. Now, just look at yourself in the mirror, face that, and get to work. One step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. And ultimately, you look back and you're like, yo, oh, wait, what? All right. I know it's not easy. I know. And I'm making it sound super easy. It's not. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Funny fact, I have 11:11, and this is kind of often on a tangent, but at 11:11, I say the same thing to myself every day, whenever I see it on the clock, and the ending is the brightest light of all lights, which is at the end of the tunnel.
We can do it. I think we could do it. We could do it together collectively by educating one another. It's possible. There's no need for us to be so caught up in things that we're not gonna take with us. You will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. You're not going with this to wherever you feel as your next life is. You're not gonna take these things with you. So once you realize that, you really realize, okay, I'm here to work. I wasn't brought here to just, do, own all these things. Well, yes, it's good. These are tools that are supposed to help you get to that next level. Yes, but it's not supposed to, I guess, be your identity. So while you know now that you're supposed to be here doing something, what is that thing that you're doing? Are you in a position to do it? No? Okay, what needs to be done for you to be in that position? What are some of the work? Yes, there will be work, and the work will never stop, but start making progress towards the work, towards that bigger picture. One step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. You fall back, you get up, you keep going.
Really, man, the focus is just leveling up. Cause I know the life I want, I'm just setting it up. Removing those that's close who try messing it up. Can't wait for champagne toast with the relevant bunch. Like, what's up? Yeah. Like, what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.